for this because I hope you guys are excited for this.
I have no idea what we're doing.
Okay.
I can't be excited. It's hard to be excited when I have no expectations.
That's perfect for this because, well, hi and welcome to Fargonauts. We're doing a special movie viewing.
Hello.
I'm here with my Broichi boys. And yeah, I talked about this movie a little bit with the Broichi boys. And I talked a little bit with Bracho about the premise of this and maybe the mindset you should go into when you watch it, or you can just not have a mindset. I don't care, because that would also lend to the viewing of this film, where it sort of goes back to when you were a kid and you had all these toys and you created your own narrative with these toys. It's not like the toys you see on, let's say, like a Robot Chicken, where the toys are used to sell a joke or put those toys in a random scenario. This is like taking these tiny little toys, like these kind of vintage looking toys, and creating a narrative. And the narrative just, happens to be, a whimsical journey of just three friends and the three-friend dynamic and their weird town that they live in. Which segues into the title of the film, which is called A Town Called Panic.
Sick.
Have any of you heard of A Town Called Panic?
No, dude.
Wilson?
Yeah.
No? Okay. I found this on Plex. I don't know if you guys are aware of what Plex is. I've never used this site. I searched for it and it said, oh, it's available on Plex. So I clicked the link and it just started playing the film. So I guess you go watch it on Plex.
I think that's how the internet works.
But it's not like I didn't have to log into anything. It didn't ask me for anything. It's just like, oh yeah, you want to watch it? Here, click this. And then
a new avenue for Broadshow to explore what's on there.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna jump into this. I'm not gonna really talk about who these friends are. You'll get the gist right off the bat. It's a pretty interesting dynamic. But yeah, sit back and enjoy the chaos of A Town Called Panic, and we will be back to discuss the film after this. There you go. So that was A Town Called Panic. And we got the Dream Soul here. Say hi, Dream
He
Soul.
has joined us.
Hey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here. Great to be here. That was a really fun movie.
Yeah, it's kind of unconventional. Have you seen anything
it was
similar?
2017.
Yeah, have you seen similar things to this or something like this before?
I mean, it depends on how similar you feel because like I feel like even like Fantastic Mr. Fox has a similar sort of outside of the like style of like I'm talking like physically, like being produced with like materials smaller than life and like miniatures and stuff like that. Just like the kind of like frenetic energy and this it's been a long time since I've watched any, but it reminds me of like when I used to watch Gumby as a kid.
Yeah, same. I can see that.
With again, like it's kind of just like it's not over energetic to being like overstimulating or anything, but it's just like it continually is moving and there's continually things happening, and it's a little bit like state of like just flowing from one thing to another, like one thought leads into another, and it takes a moment for you to realize the rhyme or reason, but for like the most part, it's always paying off for a joke, or it's like building up to something else.
Yeah, and you talked a little bit about the composition and like the framing too, and I noticed that the comedy came from the camera not moving and just letting the world, have events in it, like just little bits where you see somebody enter a room kind of funky, or you see a person leaving in their car and they drive off screen, but then they come back from the same side in the background a little bit, and then you see them disappear again, but then they reappear to finish the shot by exiting the right side of the frame, and then it like cuts.
I think that speaks to both, like, you know, ability of like skill, but also the idea of like limitations also bringing forth extremes of excellence, where it's kind of a necessity that the camera has to stay in one place for a movie like this, because then
look at the composition here, and like I love the soft like rack focus on the, you know, Indian playing on the computer, and then I love the background and the light.
Yeah, look at the light. That like casting from the left all the way back across the room and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I would assume that a lot of this is stop motion. There's certainly some stuff where it's not, but you have, you know, the camera's in one place. You're sitting there taking a series of photographs, and so you have to be creative with how you're having the subjects move within that, and they do a really good job, like you said, of just like, even if people aren't entering or exiting the scene or the frame, they're moving around and they're so expressive, and they like emote with all these, and the performance vocally too of the people playing these characters. Like I said, like the cowboy especially tickled me a lot with all of his little like his little like voices and noises he was doing.
And then
yeah,
he was the dynamic. What would you say? I kind of thought Horse is the straight man in this trio. The other archetypes, what do you think are? Is like, if it was like Ed and Eddie, would Indian be Eddie?
I didn't see Ed and Eddie. What I saw a little bit was Squidward as Horse, not being like a grump, but just like you said, like a straight man.
Yeah.
To Cowboy and Indians, Patrick and Squidward, especially at the end, like. Or when Horse is trying to build the house, Cowboy and Indian are just like they're playing ping pong. Or the second that Horse gets the couch and the TV set back up, even though the TV's broken, they're sitting down and watching TV. They're not helping them anymore.
Who's SpongeBob in this scenario?
Oh gosh, I think probably Cowboy, because both Indian and Patrick fulfill sometimes the character trait of being somebody that they both clearly don't know. They like act like they know more than they do, because they like to try and one up each other, and there's a little bit of a rivalry there.
Yeah.
But Indian more than not seemed like he was a little bit of an instigator or a leader, where he was like, "Oh no, I know this thing. Like, hey, this is what this thing is." And Cowboy would have to follow in Indian's footsteps, and Patrick had done that sometimes, being like, "Oh no, I know about this thing, SpongeBob." And then SpongeBob's like, "Yeah, Patrick." And turns out Patrick doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. But
so we'll get into the story here a little bit. There is a narrative here, and it has some heart. Like, I found some heart in this little town, where like it's such a tight knit group of people that like the only time they can have fun is when somebody has a birthday party, and they all like show up to have like a huge kegger. Like, they play cards, they dance, they get drunk. I mean, mostly Steven gets drunk, but the party was going to happen, and Cowboy and Indian totally forgot that it was his birthday. He like, they got completely blindsided by it, and that's a great shot of Cowboy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, like that. Go back just a sec. No, sorry, not to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
This. Just that little one of the interior of like the stairs, with Indian going up and down the stairs.
Yeah.
They used that shot a lot, and so much movement within that like one setting of that shot of the stairs, and yeah, really stands out to me.
The story from then on kind of goes all over the place with like what it's saying, because there's not like any message you could really take away from this film, but it's like, you like to see the dynamics of the town and how this town functions. Like, the horse and like the animals, they all go to school for piano lessons and things like that. So they act just like, you know, members of the town. Cowboy and Indian want to get something great for Horse. So they decide to make a barbecue for him because Indian just has a great idea after seeing a pig like on a spit roast. He's like, oh, let's make a barbecue. So that's what they do. They go to bricks.com where you can order your bricks, and they just want 50 because that's what the...
And bricky?
And the bricky guy.
Little brickies there to help you order bricks?
So they buy 50 is what they think, but then Cowboy...
Look at his arm draped over the couch there.
I know. There's so many funny visual gags. And I just think every scene is a painting on this. And you can even see Horse through the window there coming in. At the window of the door.
Yeah, attention to detail as well.
So Cowboy puts the mug of coffee on the keyboard when they were doing their ordering of these bricks. And the zero just kept pushing it on the quantity of how many bricks they wanted. So it eventually got up to 5 million or 50 million or something?
50 million. They wanted 50 initially, and they accidentally entered 50 million.
Which is such a funny thing. Like, they don't see things sometimes because they're not paying attention. Just like when they get 50 million bricks, they spend all day while Horse is talking to Jacqueline, his girlfriend, music teacher. They spend all day putting the 50 million bricks in a huge cube on top of their house.
Yep.
And that's what makes them so, like, tired to go to Horse's birthday party, where it's just the funniest motions where postman and policeman and Stephen just getting drunk and just barging into rooms.
Any more beer, Horse?
He comes back out, he's got all his beers.
Yes! All these beers.
You should check out a postman's dancing. Then Jacqueline and Horse have some infatuation, and it's a great shot of Cowboy. So Horse would do anything for Jacqueline, so he decides to, sign up for 100 piano lessons, and he sticks to that. But also, they find that their house is being stolen every night, or parts of it are being stolen.
The house collapses because they build that huge cube of bricks on top of it.
Yeah, here it is.
So then they try to use the bricks to rebuild the house, but then every day they build however many walls, or they make progress on building the house, and then overnight it just disappears, and they discover that the house is being stolen overnight.
Which is so bizarre because it's I don't think they're stealing it for a reason. They're just stealing it because, it's hard to tell.
They didn't have one underwater. They needed one for some reason.
Okay, because I thought they did. Well, they had a house, but it's the mirror image of the one on the surface. And
I think that's because they were stealing the one that they were building, and that's why it's a mirror image. They may have had one before, but maybe something happened to theirs as well. Because there was those earthquakes too that were or was it unrelated to the bricks? I don't remember, but yeah, not sure.
But this it had a lot of dream sequences. We talked about the Horse dream sequence, which is a great sequence.
Wonderful. So much good physical comedy of just this character is a horse, and how does he sit in a chair or sleep in a bed or do any of these things as a horse?
So once their house is completely demolished, they do try to build it for a little bit, and Horse really whips these guys into building, but they kind of get lazy, they slack off, and they just, I don't think they care of rebuilding. They're just
well, they're impish, what I mean?
They're in their own world.
Just constantly they're just always getting distracted and always trying to have fun or finding, even when they themselves think of an idea, they'll be in the middle of that idea, and then they'll see something else and divert, or like they just bop bop bop. They're like
They're the worst. The worst
cartoon
complementary.
characters, you
They're
know?
worst complementary characters for each other because they're instigators. They're both instigators, and they're both like wanting to fulfill the instigations by the other person. Like, all right, let's do this.
They're instigators to each other, and they try to like hold up some sort of like weird rivalry. So it's like the odd couple where they don't really mesh that well, but they're always like pushing the other one to then take another action that just feeds the cycle.
Right, and they don't seem like they're portraying those two as the main characters. Like, I would say the main character is Horse. These guys
or
are
the
like
three of them, but
they are, but the majority of like the main focus of like, you know, the story is Horse having a great birthday, and then these guys kind of are dimwits and
the love story. Horse is a love story.
Yeah, I think the dynamic between the three is important to the story, but yeah, I would say that the main character is definitely Horse.
I'm wondering.
He has the most character development, anyway.
Yeah, I'm wondering what other dynamics like this there are where there's two idiots and one like smart guy that's kind of like wrangling them and trying to get them to do things. Is there? Could you name other things?
The Fargo knots.
Sure.
Yeah, we all like, just constantly fulfill and swap roles.
Yeah.
We're all the Wranglers and idiots at the same time.
Yeah, simultaneous.
It's like if there was a Wallace and Gromit was Horse, and just Wallace was split into Cowboy and Indian.
Well, even Horse himself, like, is not innocent of being a strange character. It's just that he's a different kind of strange character than Cowboy or Indian is.
Which is funny because he's the strangest, because you wouldn't expect a horse just like, you know, reading the paper and like sitting in weird ways. And
Aqua Teen Hunger Force is like that too, kind of.
Yes, good point, Eric.
Very good point.
I don't even know that it's like that him being a horse really, because once you get past the idea of like, oh, he's a horse, there's a ton of characters in this that are not strictly human, that people just like nobody pays any attention to it because it's just like, oh, you are a horse, you are whoever you are. But I just think that there are a lot of decisions that he makes as a character that lead to him being like, okay, well, he's not an animated, goofy, silly little, like, you know, trickster, impish character like Cowboy and Indian kind of are. He's more of the, like, I don't even know how to put it, but like when he keeps getting called by his girlfriend and she's like, hey, are you coming to your piano lessons? And he's like, oh, yeah, I got caught up on the way and I'm coming, I'm right there. And he keeps, like, in that moment, you know, it's clear, like, he wants to prioritize her and make that decision to continue doing his piano lessons. But then almost immediately, he's just as bad as Cowboy or Indian, where he also, like, gets distracted by something, or something else comes up to keep him from doing that, where realistically, if Horse just stuck to that 100%, he could, like, make it to his end goal of the movie and get to his piano lesson like super quick. But he just
it's like he thinks he's better than that, but in reality, no, he's not better than that. He is just another one of them ding dongs.
There's a little bit of that too. Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic that even he like feeds into how the three of them are all simultaneously idiots.
True.
Yeah. Right.
So he's like
in an endearing way.
Yeah, they're all endearing, and I would say a lot of these people in this town called Panic have their flaws, where, you know, Steven, his archetype was hilarious to me because I related to him the most, because he's no nonsense, he just gets his job done, and he's very stern, like, but when it's time to party, he's the one.
He lets loose.
He's letting loose, he's getting drunk, he's having just a good time.
Yeah, he seemed like he was just very put upon, is how he acted, at least sometimes.
Right.
Oh yeah. Constantly put upon.
But he was fun. Like I think that I like the design of so much of this. Like let's talking a little bit more about like just composition and like production wise. I would really love to see
like a making
a
of
behind the scenes, yeah, a making of like sure, like how it was shot and how some of this was done. But I would also love to see show me the creative team behind this because I think that there are some unique personalities here that kind of like shine through of like nope, this is how it's going to be written. These are the it seems like whoever wrote this or whoever had the idea for this had a very specific idea of like nope, horses this character, he has these traits, cowboys this character, Indian is this character, this is like all the people of the town, and it all just seems very well realized. And
yeah,
I would love to hear some of their decisions about like nope, we chose to do it this way because like yes, it is, and clearly budget and like production quality is not the issue here. This is all done for artistic reasons. So I would just be curious to hear them speak about why or what some of those reasons are.
Yeah, same here.
This is a fun little scene here.
This is one of my favorite scenes. It's just Steven's really interesting way to wake up. Morning, Janine.
Steven's really big breakfast.
Delicious toast. Fantastic coffee. I'm off to work.
Through it.
No nonsense. Gosh. Just that's Steven in a nutshell. Just I'm gonna fucking destroy this breakfast.
Oh, that tractor almost looks like it could be repurposed, or like maybe at one point it was like some sort of robot or something. I love being able to see this detail, like just pausing it here, of the like individual springs that were kind of cut and welded together, and how the tractor was kind of put together, and
you can feel this world. Like it's, the textures on all of this stuff, you can tell what it is.
And the sense of humor is really well done. I don't think that this is necessarily like I don't know. Is this PG or like PG-13 or what do you think?
I would say it's just G. I mean, it's light violence. It's so slapsticky and cartoony.
It is. It really is.
Yeah,
there's like very little to have to approach in that way, but it's just
But that's the thing. Like I said at the beginning, this is like a kid playing with their toys, and the story just goes from one thing to another. That's why I think it's so reverent with like being just like for all ages. You can just see these things as toys, like somebody's playing with these toys, and it's very wholesome. I would think like they were gonna play into the horse's love affair more just for comedic things.
Sure.
But they kept it very tame. Like they just like dancing and they dreamed about each other. Like that was so wholesome
it was very
and nice.
Sweet. And
there was not like, if you're thinking about violence and like those displays of love, it was very minimal, and it didn't like lead to them like having a weird, awkward like toy makeout session or anything like that. There's small little smooches and kisses like that, but it's very friendly and very French. So in France, I'm sure this was just for, this could be for everybody.
I don't see why not. Yeah, I mean that culturally, that's a little bit different.
That's too, very European of them, yes.
Yes, it's quite understated.
You got a kick out of the alien or the fish people attack montage.
Well, just his like coming up out of the tub and going, boo.
They're deciding to like, oh, I have fishmen in my house, better chuck pigs at them.
Dude, the pig conveyor belt was like,
this
it came
gimmick
so quickly. It just
this gimmick is one of my favorites, where you see all their hats, or you see their heads. I guess you see some hats and some heads.
Yeah.
And then they pull the swordfish away. And just a horse, I guess, was wearing a horse hat.
Yeah, and some of the jokes don't really need to like.
There's a picture of Steven
make
on his
sense
tractor up there.
necessarily.
No, none of the like it's.
They can be nonsensical like that, where it's like, well, hold on, that's the top of a horse's head. It doesn't matter. It's
No, that was just a
it's
funny visual gag. Yeah.
yeah, it's the joke itself that like I feel part of what is charming about this and what you're talking about with like a kid playing with his toys is that it does feel like these were the only things that were available. Like you're stuck at you know, grandpa and grandma's house.
These are the only things you have to play with. Like, oh, my
all
kids
that's
will like
available is like horse, cowboy, Indian, farmer, his wife, and yeah, like a little farm set. And then you just come up with this like story and these characters and these ideas and
yeah,
the whimsy and the humor in this are really fun. I think this is one that would be worth revisiting for sure.
Oh yeah,
I'm glad you liked
just
it.
for a lighthearted good time.
Yeah, I would say so. And like I said, you can watch it on Plex. I've never heard of Plex, but yeah, I guess you can just search this movie and watch the Plex version.
When did this come out? This feels like maybe like
guess
2010 maybe
Close.
2008 2009
yeah,
in there.
That's exactly it. 2009.
Yeah, it feels about there, but I
You feel
really,
about
like,
there, dude.
heard this necessarily before, you know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very good. I liked it.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you liked it, and hope other people get a chance to watch this. It's from 2009, so it's pretty old. But yeah, if you have seen it, let us know what you think about it. And have you seen other things like this before? Not just like stop motion things, but like where it leans into the herky jerkiness and the just bare bones, not trying hard to be like a stop motion animation, but definitely involves a lot of those concepts. Like I want to know, like maybe there is something similar to this that's not straight up like I want to make this animation look so meticulous and
you know what we should watch as a group is the recent release. I reminisce to not be able to name the director right now, but the recent release Mad God stop motion.
Oh yes, Phil Tippett.
Yep,
he was the artist, the stop motion artist for Star Wars and a lot of other stuff.
Even something like A Scanner Darkly with its anything that has a strong visual like style that really overrides the necessity for whether it be a straightforward narrative or dialogue or whatever it is, like that when the visual style eschews other norms to like help fit that mood, you know, I'm sure that there's lots of ways that can pay off and there's lots of ways that it can't, but I feel like this was one where whoever is like the main creative drive behind this, whether that's like one person or a group or whatever, they had a very, very clear idea and they executed on it amazingly, I think.
Well, that's it. They just didn't make it look super cheap, but they also didn't make it look super produced. They had a great little middle ground where it's like we're gonna lean into the herky jerky and there's no other like word for this or like the herky jerkiness, but it's very crude. But I don't want to use that word because it sounds too harsh. But like they took time with backgrounds, foregrounds, sets. It's not like they just used nature itself as like the setting. They used their own set, like they built this thing. So it's so easy if you're gonna lean into the more like basic way of doing this would be like, oh yeah, we just kind of find a place outside and use the toys to do the same thing. They actually went ahead and built these sets and put in like items and things to make it look lived in, painted skies and everything. They took
this travels
a little time.
Like, it goes to that snowy biome. There's the caves. There's all these interiors of the houses, the underwater. Like this really goes places, and they're not other productions in this format or other films that would use something like this, especially where they are mixing this like low budget and not low effort, but stylistically they're making this choice for it to be simplistic.
Yep.
It could very well come off as like just like cheap, as in thin.
Yeah.
But this is not that. This is very rich. This is very gosh, yeah. I mean, like, I would love to see, like, was this just one kind of like double-sided model, and then the fish that are on the bottom and the pig and the octopus swimming around are clearly some sort of effect going on. But this really is beautiful, and when you're talking about herky jerky, it is, I think, a like simplistic style choice. When they're like a character is walking from one place to another, they don't smoothly animate or anything like that. They do the thing that you do when you're a kid. You tip it back and forth and you make them just move one little bit at a time, like beep bop beep bop beep bop.
Like how the army men move in the movie Toy Story. That's how they move, because they don't want to animate their, like, they do animate some actions too, though, like how they dance and how Cowboy's like moving his arms and things like that, and how Steven takes a drink or like a swig of like beer. He always like arches his back and lifts his arm way up above his head to drink. Like those things are just frames, like a smear frame almost, but they're just like placing it there for a second and then they're back to their idle position. Like those, that makes it funny too, because those are like other body gags.
I know that it's not like uncommon, but because in stop motion you have however many models of this one subject that you need for the sequence, and I just can't imagine how many custom little cowboy Indian models that they had to go through, and especially horse, to get him in the positions that they needed, and it's just very impressive, and well realized for having that stylistic choice of simplicity. That's not easy to do, I think.
Yeah, look at that frame, like that.
The effects, like there are effects going on in this movie, and they're mostly, I would say, practical. I don't know how much, like.
But when they do the effect like this, they're just like, it looks like somebody maybe cast their hand and just made it look like a splash, but at the bottom it looks just like a hot glue. And you could tell, like, oh yeah, that just looks like they hot glued it there for a bit.
If you frame by framed this, I'm sure like if you were able to do that, I'm sure that you could see, like, in the next frame they have just a slightly different model of that standing water, and they hot glued that down, and to get the animated sploosh up, and this, man, what a fun ending too, with all the fireworks. And again, it doesn't like necessarily make sense, but it's fun.
Yeah, like you're transported back to when you're a kid. Like that's my takeaway from this. Like it's the innocence of this town, and it's the innocence of these characters, and it's the playful nature of the story, and it's very wholesome. It just transports you back to a simple time when you're just a kid exploring, I guess, narrative for the first time. Like kids are the best at that. Like I listen to my kids play with toys. Sometimes they're like whispering a story. I'm like, I want to know what the heck this story is, because it brings me back to when I was a kid, when I was like whispering, like, oh yeah, you come here, you want to fight me, have my toys fight and stuff like that. Like that's very normal, and it's very like, it's legendary, or like it transcends other cultures and things like that. Like everybody plays at a young age, and sometimes the first story that they hear comes from themselves. Like they make up their own new story. It's not like a book you recited at bedtime or something like that. You start creating your own stories, and like that's what this film made me like, or reminded me of, or gave me a good nostalgic reminder of what it was like to do that.
Yeah. Good times. Good movie. Thanks for sharing it.
Yep. If you guys, like I said, want to go check this out, it's on Plex. I'll plug it one more time. I could maybe leave a link in the description of this video, so you could just go see that. If it's down, it's not my fault. Gotta get on Plex for that.
Do not blame the man.
But yeah, thanks for joining us on this little one-off. I just wanted to show it to my Broachy boys. Hope they enjoyed it, and we'll be back with a more festive film, possibly. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna. Do you remember what we watched last year?
For Christmas?
Another one that is now in your rotation, right?
Gosh, I don't know, because did we watch Santa with Muscles last year?
No,
was that last year?
No. It was Emmett Otter's.
Oh was that all? Was that that seems like that was not long ago to me, which is why I'm taken aback for a second here.
I'm pretty confident that was the last one we watched, was Emmett Otter's Christmas, Jug Band Christmas.
And we watched that around holiday time. My goodness.
Right. It wasn't the last Christmas thing I did, because last Christmas thing we did was do the stories that Quint and was it Quint that told us? And Arnie told us.
And Arnie. Yes. Well, because I have my hand, I got my hands. It's just one of the things that came in one of the blind VHS collections that I had purchased is a VHS copy of Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. So yes, when I have the chance to be home, maybe snowed in or around on Christmas, I'll pop it in and watch it with the kids or something.
So yeah, we'll be watching something along those lines, a unconventional or different Christmas film. Or I wouldn't mind just if we find some, just watching a bulk few and just doing a batch review of all of them, and maybe vote on what's the better one, what's the more interesting.
You mean all the Rankin Bass? We can rank all the Rankin Bass.
That sounds interesting. Would you want to do that? Because there is quite a few that I normally watch around this time.
Quite a few.
Just the Rankin Bass Christmas.
It would take some time, but but what do we count as Christmas movies? Do we count the Little Drummer Boy as a Christmas movie?
You would kind of have to, because it's very much a biblical, story about the.
I wouldn't have
star.
To, but I'm okay with it. I'm just, and I this is just point of conversation really. What do we include if we're going to do that? Because there's a few.
Well, we'll have to see. It's up to us to. We could do 2 at a time.
If it's not,
next
who
week.
Is it up to?
Yeah, we can. We'll discuss it and we'll figure that out. And hopefully you guys stay tuned to whatever we create. It could be Rankin Bass. It could be anything.
Maybe we can.
If you have suggestions for us, that would be great too.
Yeah. Leave those suggesties down in the comments.
Stay tuned for those updates, and have a good holiday. If we don't see you when we do our video on...
If you don't hear from us between now and after the new year, send help. That's what he's saying.
Yeah. Start making some missing posters for us. We'll
find the image with the plane pulling the and I was thinking that too while we were watching this. Do you think that it's applicable to apply horse, cowboy, Indian to the three of us?
Maybe. I mean, but we are, like we said, interchangeable to
a little bit.
Either one of them.
And so I had trouble really assigning a, like, I don't know, solid attribution.
Right.
Because I feel like sometimes I'm a little more cowboy, sometimes a little more Indian, sometimes I'm a little more horse.
There it is, missing. All right. Yeah, start flying a plane. Start getting your bulls to fly planes.
Is that a bull or is that a dog? I couldn't tell.
Oh, it could be a dog. Yeah, that's dog.
But I love the plane design too.
All right.
Some help.
We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you later. Bye.